name's Dan. I'm the application instructor who'll be doing the training for today. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me okay. If you notice down at the bottom of your screen, there's a bunch of little buttons down there that you can use to interact with the class today. There's like a hand raise, thumbs up, thumbs down. I want you to pick any of those buttons at the bottom and just click on it. That way I can be sure that you can hear me. Perfect. All right, cool. So that plays a little reaction noise as well and just kind of notifies me if you have any questions or anything. Go ahead and click that same button again, which will actually turn it off. So it's like a toggle switch. You click once for on, click again for off. Perfect. All right, so now I should be able to stop sharing. There we go. And now I'll be able to share my screen with everybody. All right. Welcome to Microsoft Teams. Happy Tuesday. Oh, by the way, it is Technical Tuesday, so that might be why we had some technical issues. Anyways, welcome to Microsoft Teams. Like I said, my name's Dan. There will be time for Q&A at the end, just so y'all know, and this is really to serve as a quick introduction to Teams and get people going with Teams. Before we jump into the Teams application, I want to do a quick overview of why we even have Teams. It seems like Microsoft comes up with new stuff all the time, and sometimes it doesn't really necessarily connect in our minds why this new tool exists. So let's start there. We're going to start out by talking about traditional office communication in the digital age. If you all remember the dawn of the internet from back in the day, one of the first services of the internet that we used was email. And email was great. It was a great way for us to, compose a message on our computer here. And with the click of a button, we could click and send that message out to a larger audience. So that was really powerful stuff. However, there were some drawbacks to email that we discovered right away. One of the drawbacks that we discovered with email was that, first off, you never are entirely sure if the person got the message or if it was delivered, unless you put one of those reports on it. You're not ever sure when somebody's going to reply or when they're going to see it, so that's another drawback to email. So if you have an important question that you need to ask and you send it through email, you could be waiting a while before you hear the answer back. So that was definitely a problem with email that we still experience today. Another issue that we discovered early on was that we had the need to share files with one another. We didn't really have a great solution, so what we ended up doing was finding a way to attach files to emails. Now, when we attach a file to an email and I send it out through email, what happens to that file? This is something that still happens today. People are still doing it right now. Somewhere on the planet, somebody's attaching a file to an email and sending it to people. This is okay in some situations, but it's not great in all, especially if I'm trying to collaborate. So in this example, if I'm over here on the left and this is my team on the right, and I need us all to be able to work on a file and put our own input into the file, if I send that file through email, what happens is everybody gets their own copy of the file. It's kind of a good thing to know. Let me know, guys, if someone has experienced audio dropouts. Let me know if other people are experiencing that as well. Some people's audio is okay. So Randy, if your audio is bad, try just jumping out of the session, so X out of it, and then jump back in. You're not going to miss any of the team stuff because I'm going to be getting to that in the next couple minutes here, next 5 minutes or so. All right, everybody, so attaching files through email is not good because everybody gets their own copy of a file. And then by the end of the day, if everybody's been working on it, we've got all these different versions of the file out there. Nobody knows who has the correct version anymore, and then it makes it very difficult for us to combine these files back together. So we needed a better solution for file storage, for sure, and for file sharing. So the solution to that is cloud storage, and Microsoft has a cloud storage solution called OneDrive, or OneDrive for Business. What that allows me to do is take my file and put it on or in the cloud, which is just on the internet, and then once it's on the internet, I can then get a link for sharing, which I can then put into an email and send out to a group of people. And now the big benefit here is that they do not have their own file. They all have their own link to the one file. There are some other benefits to OneDrive, including the ability to simultaneously edit and the ability for versioning control built right in. So every time somebody makes a change and saves it, it doesn't throw out the previous version. It makes version 2.0 and 3.0 and so on. Now with these two tools working together, we're working pretty effectively with files, but we're still not communicating very well. So we needed a faster way to communicate. A solution to that in Office environments is instant messaging. And the instant messaging tool from Microsoft is Skype for Business. So now we've got email for standard communication, OneDrive for file storage, Skype for Business for quicker instant messaging. So if we have these three tools that work really well, then what's the point of Teams? Why does Microsoft keep coming up with new stuff that we have to learn? Well, at this point in time, we have three different applications that do their individual jobs really, really well. But the problem here is that we have three different applications that we need to access. That is where Teams comes in. Teams works as an interconnect and brings in different elements of these applications into one screen so that I'm not bouncing around between all these applications all day. It's got your Outlook calendar built into it. You have access to your OneDrive right inside of Teams. You also have an instant messaging and full-on conferencing tool built right into Teams. And there's a lot of other things that connect to Teams that we're going to see as we go through our training today. So now that we have an idea of what the point of Teams is, let's go ahead and jump into the application and start using it. So I'm going to switch over to Teams here. And just so y'all know, there are a couple different ways to access Teams. One way is to go to office.com if you have Office 365. Once you log in, Teams will be one of the apps in there. As a matter of fact, I've got my Office set up here. And you'll see when I log into office.com, I have the Teams app over here that I can click on and go to. There is also a desktop application for Teams, which I highly recommend if you're going to be using Teams at all. And I'll go back to the web app for a second. Oh, as a matter of fact, let me jump over to it for a second here. When you're in the Teams web app, or when you go to launch it, it will actually ask you, it should ask you here. It wants me to sign back in. What it'll ask you is if you want to download the app. And when you're in the app, there will be a button to get the desktop app. It'll be right here in the web app. Okay. Anyways, we'll do this through the desktop app today. I've got a lot of different logins that I have to bounce between sometimes. So for the sake of time, we'll just use this here. All right, now that we're in the Teams environment, let's talk about the different parts of Teams. Starting on the left-hand side, you have your links or navigation options. In the middle, you have the options for whatever part of Teams you're working on. And then on the right-hand side is typically your workspace. So I'm going to start here down at the bottom with Files. When I click on the Files here, you're going to see that it shows my OneDrive access. And when I click onto that, here are all of my personal OneDrive files. It's just taking a second to connect because I haven't connected in a while. So I've got all sorts of different content right here. Okay, I can go into one of these folders here to show you. Here we go. So here's all my files and folders right inside of OneDrive. If I want to make additional files or folders, I can click New at the top. If I want to upload from my computer, I can click Upload. If I want to share, I can quickly click Get a Link. And then finally, there's an option to open the full OneDrive app in the web browser, which just gives me even more controls than I might need for managing and sharing files. But built into Teams, you can see it's designed for quick, easy access. Now, if I select a file, watch what happens. I have the ability to open and edit right here, get a link for sharing, download, delete, move, copy, rename, and again, open in OneDrive. And the move or copy stuff is actually really cool inside of Teams. I'll show you that a little bit later on. Well, actually, I'll just show you right now. We're talking about it, right? If I click move or copy, it'll pop open this little window that asks me where would I like to move it. Do I want to move it within my OneDrive, or do I want to move it to some file storage in a team? Which again, you'll learn more about what this is in just a second. But you can see how quickly and easily I can move this content around while in Teams. So if I had to give you a workflow for how you're going to use OneDrive in Teams, OneDrive is your own personal file storage. You can store files in a team, which will be available to a bigger audience. But here's how I would use this as a workflow. If I'm drafting a document for my team, I'll create the file and manage it through my OneDrive. If I need other people to help me, I will give them a link from my OneDrive so they can help me. Finally, when it's ready to be published to the team, I'll go to my OneDrive, select the file, and then I'll move it to the team it should be published to. So that's a good way to wrap your head around the workflow between OneDrive personal storage and team storage for an audience. Now, other things you will see under files here is recent files I've worked on, files I've downloaded, and any file that is stored in any team I have access to. So this is kind of a neat short list that shows you every single file in every team you belong to, because you may belong to more than one team, and those teams you belong to might have more than one part. So it's just a very quick, easy list to see your files here in all teams. Right up above files is calling, and you may or may not see this. It really depends on your organization. Some teams are connected through an actual phone system, meaning if I go to calls, I'll have the ability to call anybody in the organization. I'll also have the ability to call any telephone number on the planet, really, through calls. I can access my voicemail and other things. But this is kind of a unique feature that not all organizations have. So we're going to skip over it. Going to meetings here, this is my Outlook calendar. For some reason, it's not loading in my demo environment, but it's not a big deal. What you'll see here is basically your Outlook calendar. And as a matter of fact, I will try going to a web app here just to see if I can get it for a quick second here. And if not, it's not a big deal because it's just a simplified view of your calendar. Yeah, it wants me to sign in with another account here. That's okay, I'll sign in with the other account. But I like it. I like the view in Teams. So what you'll see here is basically a day view. It's not going to be every day. It'll just be the single day view. And it'll show you all the times of the day. So 8 a.m., 9 a.m., and so on. And it'll show you your appointments that you have for that current time. It also puts a red line where the actual time is for the day. It's just a really neat, quick view for you to see what you have coming up here. All right, so I'm logged in as another account here. I'll go to meetings. I bet you that this trial is just not wanting to work with that, and that's okay. Let's do it this way. Too many logins, guys. I also mentioned it is Technical Tuesday, so get excited for that. I feel this is an important part of Teams, so I'm just going to take the extra second to get you connected to it because I want you to see it. So again, this is Teams through the web app that I just switched to because my trial accounts are having some issues today. But this is what I told you would see. As soon as you click on it, it says you can get the Windows app right here, which again is what I'd recommend. If you want, you can use the web app in a pinch. Now that I'm in, you can see that I can get to calendar and it will show the actual calendar. So see how I mentioned it would be hours, any appointments you have coming up, right? You can switch days at the top if you need to. You can also switch to an agenda view, which I kind of like. So here's the rest of my week. I've got different things on the calendar there. Okay, perfect. You can also schedule a meeting down here if you need to. We'll talk more about meetings in just a little bit. But I want you to also notice that the experience is consistent between the web app and the desktop app. All right, so that's meetings. Teams is where we're going to spend a lot of time. We're going to come right back to this in a second. I want to show you chat next. There is instant messaging built right into Teams. So if I need to instant message anybody, I can go to chat. Once I'm in chat, you can start a new chat at any time, guys. There's a button right here to do this. This is showing recent chats. I can view all contacts that I might have added, which I don't have any contacts added here either. So let me show you another really great thing about Teams is finding stuff. If you need to find anybody or anything in Teams, you just come up here and click. As soon as you come in and click, it says you can do a / or an @ for commands, or you can just type names. I'll type Dan and just search for Dan. Shows any messages from Dan or that has Dan in it that I've interacted with, any people in the organization named Dan, any files created or last edited by Dan. So you can see how quickly and easy I can find things here. Now I am Dan, so I'm not going to message myself, but let me search for Amber. Okay, same thing. Any conversations between Amber and I or that have the word Amber in it, people name Amber, files Amber's created. So I'm going to go to people, click on Amber right here, and you'll see it takes me right to our conversation. Now look at the timeline here. This is really cool about chat in Teams. You have persistent conversations now. So for all my Skype for Business users, you know the problem with Skype for Business is if we talk today and then we don't instant message for a week, when we come back a week later to instant message one another, it's a little bit harder to get back to our previous conversation. So in most cases, Skype users just start new conversations all the time, and you kind of lose track of things kind of quickly. So it's nice that we have a persistent conversation here. Now, another thing that's really cool, and I'll go down here and just type a message. Okay, standard instant messaging. We have some formatting controls down here. I'll tell you all about those in a minute. Okay, but you can see I send a message. Once the message goes to Amber, she'll start typing a reply. You'll see the notification that she's typing. And once she replies, it'll post right here. Okay, so that's all standard. You guys know instant messaging. But here's what's really cool about instant messaging in Teams. Look at the top. It's not just a conversation between Amber and I. It's file storage and anything else we need in our conversation to get work done, which again, we'll talk more about these tabs at the top when we get into actual Teams. but it's kind of the same feel, whether you're talking to a person in a private conversation or whether you're communicating with a team, which we'll get to in a second. In the upper right-hand corner of our chat, take a look. I could do a video call if I had a camera connected. I could do an audio call, computer to computer right here. Or I could even share my screen. So if I click that button, I can quickly share any part of my screen. And then finally, we have the button to add people. If you want to add somebody to your conversation, you can do so very quickly by typing a name. Okay, once you select the person, it should ask you when you click add, and I've already had a conversation with these people, so it didn't ask me. But the first time it'll ask you, do you want to show them the previous conversation or do you want to start new? So you do have that option when you're adding people. Okay, cool. Let's do one more thing in the search box at the top. I think you guys are good on chat because it's very easy. I'm going to do a slash and just show you all the commands you have. View activity, view people's availability, which availability has to do with chat. If you notice Amber's green, that means she's available. If I go to my name up here, you can see it's green available. If I click the button here, you can see I can change my presence setting right here. You can also go down to the teams in the taskbar and quickly change it. Available, busy, do not disturb, and appear away. Do not disturb is the only one that will block instant messaging and calling, just so y'all know. But you don't really want to use that very often. As a matter of fact, you probably will almost never come up here and go to this button, to be perfectly honest with you, because we already know Teams is connected to my Outlook calendar. So that means if I have an appointment scheduled on my Outlook calendar, as soon as that appointment time hits, it'll automatically switch me from available to busy in a meeting. Okay, so not a whole lot you even need to do there to manage. But let's go back up here to a slash. I'm going to do activity for Amber, and you can see it allows me to select somebody right there. And then it'll show any activity she's had in Teams recently, which this is a trial account I haven't used in about a month, so there's not a whole lot here, guys, but that's okay. You kind of get the idea of how that works. Right above chat is activity. That is any of your recent notifications in Teams. So if somebody replies to a comment you post, somebody edits a file, somebody mentions you, you get notifications here. If somebody tries to chat with you, you'll see all sorts of different things light up here. All right, everybody, let's take a look at Teams now. So once I click onto Teams, I want you to notice that in the options area, I currently belong to 3 teams. Amber's team, IT department, and all company. Okay? When you first join Teams, you might belong to 1 team or you might belong to no teams, and that's okay. You might even belong to 5, who knows? It really depends on who created the team and whether or not they added your name. Now, a quick mention on how to join or create a team. Down at the bottom, you'll see join or create team, and in some cases, the create team might be missing. A lot of organizations lock it down, and here's the reason why. Because when Teams first rolls out, it's kind of in a delicate state where you don't really want too many teams created too quickly because that'll just get overwhelming for users and users will get lost. So a lot of companies will lock this down so you do not have the ability to create teams. Teams are only created through like IT tickets and things like that. However, in the future, you may see the ability to create teams. You can join teams by code if somebody gave you an access code, and you can even search teams up here if there are any public teams like an all company team. All right, so let's go back to our teams now. I belong to Amber's team, IT department, and all company. You'll notice below each team, there are different channels. General, project migration, and then there's 2 hidden ones here. Under IT, I have general, help desk support issues, and some hidden channels. And then under all company, I have a general channel. So here's the point of channels. Channels are designed so that each one has an intent and purpose that belongs to the team. So in Amber's team, there's a general channel for basic conversation and communication about the team. There are 2 project channels that are specific to 2 individual projects. There is a resources channel for team resources. Now, hidden channels are not a big deal, guys. It just means that they're hidden from you because you haven't followed or favorited them. If I click show here, you'll see it just quickly pops them up for me. So it's not a big deal, and now I show them in the list. If you wanted to hide them, you can click the 3 dots in line and you can show or hide at any time, guys. Not a big deal. And that's kind of useful because if I don't work on each project, you know, I'm a member of Amber's team, but I'm not working on the migration project, I can click here and show or hide at any time. And that just kind of gets it out of the way. Now, within each channel, so I'm in the general channel now, you're going to have different tabs. So in the general tab, or general channel, I have a conversation tab, file storage, and this one happens to have a wiki. If I go over to project migration, you see this one has even more tabs. So it really depends on the channel's intent and purpose and what tools it needs to be there for the team. Let's go back to general. In general, down below I can see, hello, here's a message from Amber in the chat. So if I wanted to reply to it, and I've probably already replied to it, which I have, that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and reply to it again. Now this is super important, guys. Down at the bottom, you want to make sure you are hitting the reply button if you intend to reply. If you're not careful, take a look at my screen here. See how I'm not seeing the reply button because I've scrolled a little bit? This looks like the reply box, but it is not. It clearly says start a new conversation or @mention somebody. So make sure if you intend to reply, you are in fact hitting a reply button. Now up at the top, you see there's a thumbs up button. You can like people's comments or posts. This is not the same thing as social media. This is not Facebook. This is more of a way for me to let Amber know that I did see it. Another thing you'll see here is a bookmark. If I click bookmark, it will save this message and I will get notifications about it. This is really useful if in your team somebody posts a question that you would like to know the answer to. It's not your post, so you're not going to get a notification when somebody replies unless you save the message. And then I can even go at the top and do a /saved, and I can find all my saved messages very quickly. How cool is that, guys? It's 2019. We live in the future. Get excited. All right, so I'm going to reply by clicking the reply button down here. As soon as I click reply, I'm going to literally do the same one I did last time. I don't even care, people. You know what this is. Great. I'll just do great. I'll highlight it, and then I'm going to go to the text format option down here. And notice it's the same buttons in any place. It's the same ones we saw under chat, guys. So now I've got options to do bold, italic, and underline. You know what these are, guys. Bullets and numbering, I'm sure you know about. Quick styles. Oh, this is a good one, guys. If you're one of those people that marks all of your emails as high importance, I've got great news for you. You can mark all of your replies as high importance. No, don't do that. All right, so I can format text if I need to. To the right of that, I can attach a file very quickly and share it from my computer, from my OneDrive, or from another team channel. Next button over is emojis. Oh, thank God. How could we ever work without emojis? I have no idea. What is this guy all about? Holiday spirit? Sure. Let's do that. All right, so that's emojis. Next button over is GIFs or GIFs. I'm going to call them GIFs because that's really how it should be pronounced. It's even called Giphy, guys. Look, Giphy, GIF. Anyways, that argument is over. So now you can search for different reaction GIFs. So I'll do great. Okay, cool. This guy with his thumbs up. Let's do, the dancing thumbs up. Come on. There we go. So some organizations might restrict some of the GIFs that you get. There are different rating scales that you can use for GIF ratings here. All right, so there's my animated reaction GIF. Next button over is stickers or memes. All right, so you can go in here and you can use all sorts of different ones they have built in, including standard ones you see from the interwebs. There we go, and yes, you can type your own captions. All right, then you click done and it creates it for you. Now I know what you're thinking. I thought the same thing when I saw this. This is going to get out of hand very quickly. And in reality, guys, this is cool that it's here. It's not going to be used very often because most people are just trying to get work done. Every once in a while, somebody might post something like, hey guys, we met a goal. And then, yeah, people tend to go nuts with these sort of things. But don't be too concerned about it. Just know that it's there if you want to have a little fun with that. All right, next button at the bottom, guys. If you fell asleep, wake up right now because this is important. There is a button in line here that looks like a camera. If you hover over it, notice what it says. It says Meet Now. This is scary, scary stuff, guys. If you click that button, it will initiate an ad hoc meeting with your entire team and call them all right now. So you don't want to click that unless absolutely necessary. All right, it's really not that scary. If you do click it, you still have to go through like 1 or 2 screens before it starts the actual meeting, but the end result will be that it calls everybody and starts a meeting with them. All right, all the way at the end, if I'm ready to post my comment, I can click send right there. Okay, cool. So that's it, guys. That's how you communicate in a team channel. Make sure you're hitting the reply button if you intend to reply or start a conversation. Also, again, be very aware of channels. If I have a question about the migration to Office 2016 project, I do not want to post that in general because that's not where it goes. So I want to make sure that I'm posting things correctly in the correct locations, and I am hitting reply buttons to the correct conversations. Okay, great. All right, guys, next button at the top is Files. Once I click onto that, you are going to notice that this looks really familiar to something we saw earlier, which was our OneDrive. So if I go back to Files here and go to OneDrive Access, look at the buttons, guys. Back at Teams, General Channel, Files, look at the buttons. New, Upload, Get Link. Since this is the team storage, you can add additional cloud storage if you need to, and actually manage the SharePoint library in the background that's holding on the files. If I click New here, though, you can see Files and Folders. Let's make an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, I'll go ahead and name my Excel spreadsheet. And then when I hit Create, watch what happens, guys. If you don't understand the point of Teams yet, this should really drive it home. Teams is designed so you have one screen that you work in. When I go to create an Excel file, it's going to automatically save to that Teams file storage, but also notice what's happening. It's opening up Excel right inside of Teams for me to make my edit. Well, it should be. There we go. I don't know why that took longer than usual, but that's okay. It's Technical Tuesday, right? Anyways, guys, this is it. You can edit the file very easily just by going into a cell here. Okay. Oh, I don't even know how to spell first, guys. I never learned how to read. There we go. All right. First name, you get the idea. You can fill this all out. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Excel Online is great. It's not the full version of Excel, so if you ever need to, guys, not a big deal. You just click this button right here to open an Excel. I'm not confident that this is going to work because of all the different accounts that I have to sign in and out of on this computer, but you'll at least get the basic idea. When you click on it, this will pop up. It'll launch Excel. If it asks me to sign in, I'll just close out of it. But if I am signed in, which I might be, yeah, there we go. Perfect, guys. That's it. So see how quickly it translated to the web or the desktop version? Cool. And then I can continue editing here. Let's go ahead and update these guys to be bold. And there we go. And now when I'm done, hit the save button, X out of it, and I can resume editing back in Teams if I want. And watch what happens, guys. It's going to pop open my last edit right there. Cool stuff. Automatically saves in the web app or the online app. When I'm done, I just hit close. Cool. And now it's saved there for my team. Now, if you want to go back and edit, you just click on it. It'll open in read only here, right there, and then you can choose where you want to edit or just start editing. Okay, awesome stuff. And just so you all know, I can't demo this right now, but you can do simultaneous editing with many people on your team. Since it's stored in the team, everybody in the team has access to the file, and they'll be able to go on and make changes to it. All right, everybody, last little bit of business here, and then I'll open it up to any questions that you may have, is meetings. I'm going to try my best here. Let's see if this works. Schedule a meeting. Well, for some reason that popped up. I don't know why it's not bringing in the Outlook calendar, and it might be because I don't have Outlook set up on this account. Anyways, you saw what it looks like. Schedule a meeting. Once I click that, I can put in the title of the meeting. I'll call it Migration Project Meeting. Okay, location, I can pick a room if you're connected to your room system. I can pick the date and time for it. Right? I can make it a reoccurrence. I can use the scheduling assistant from Outlook because, again, this is all through Outlook, guys. Type my meeting details, invite people. And then here is the bonus, guys. Select a channel to have the meeting in. This is the migration project meeting for Amber's team. We have in Amber's team a migration project channel. I'm going to have the meeting information stored there. And the cool thing about this is that anybody on the team can revisit the meeting once it's done. You'll see this in a second, guys. Just so you all know, if you do not have it take place in the team channel, it'll actually store all of the meeting stuff that you record under chat for you. If you store it in a channel, it'll show up in the Teams channel. Does that make sense for everybody? So if you do not have the meeting taking place in a Teams channel, it will still store your recording and everything under chat as a private conversation. However, if it is taking place in a channel, it will be in the team channel. I'm going to do this in the team channel, guys. I'm going to hit schedule. Once I hit schedule, it's going to send an Outlook email invite to everybody I invited. They're all going to get the normal Outlook. You've got a little bit of time left.
15 minutes before.
So if you do have additional questions,
all
you
going
can
to
type them in the
join
chat
on the
box,
ready,
and there will be a link that's going to enable they can click on it. It'll activate their teams, and they'll be taken in. Now, if they're outside the company, when they click the link, if they have their own teams, it'll just activate their own teams, and they'll join right in with us. If they do not have teams, when they click the link, it'll open up a web browser, and all they need to do is put in their name, and that will be connected. Okay, a question came through. I'll be happy to answer it if I can read it here. Can a team be made up of people from different organizations, not the same Office 365? Yes. Some organizations will allow you to invite people outside the organization. To do that, just to show you if you needed to, like if you needed to bring somebody into a team, I'm not talking about meetings anymore, but actually into a team, you would go to the team. So here's Amber's team. Click the 3 dots in line with it and click Manage. From here, you can add a member by someone in the organization or by typing a full email address. So if your company allows it, you can do it. All right, let's take a quick look at the meeting. So when I want to join the meeting, I can click on it here in Teams. Click Join. As soon as I click Join, guys, this is what the meeting space looks like. If there were more people in here, everybody would have their own little tile. So like there's a D here, there'd be a J for Justin and an A for Amber. Down at the bottom, I can enable or disable my video, mute or unmute, share my screen or desktop or whatever. 3 dots is more options like a dial pad or start the recording. If you do start a recording, everybody in the meeting will get notified about it. And then when you're done, you hit the hang up button. Okay? Now in the upper right hand corner, I have full screen mode. I have meeting notes that I can take right here, and you can see how easy this is. It's just built right in. Okay, so it activates the meeting notes. Man, everything is just taking a minute today. There we go. Okay, and then I can come down here. There we go. Chat inside of the meeting if you need it. Participant panel, so everybody who's in the meeting, I can choose to mute or unmute people or kick them out if I need to. The last button is the gear, which is the settings for whatever audio device you're in. And then the I at the end is your join information. So if I click that, it'll give me the link to join that I can then copy to a clipboard and so on. And guys, just so you know, while you're in a team meeting or any meeting in Teams, you can still switch over to other things. Like I can check my calendar for a moment. You see it just put the team meeting up here, and then I can switch back to the meeting by clicking on it. And then when you're done, guys, you just hit the hang up button. Okay, and actually I'm going to go back in and end that recording, because the recording will keep going because the meeting time is scheduled until I think 1:30 or 2. Actually, it might have stopped the recording. Okay, perfect. There we go. Anyways, guys, so you'll see it gives me all the details about the meeting now. It'll give me the meeting notes. It'll give me the meeting recording, and it's all right here in the team channel. Now, again, if you didn't have it take place in the channel, you'd see the same things. It would just be under chat. All right, guys, so that is Microsoft Teams. All right, everybody. That concludes our session. If you do have more questions, guys, I'm not wrapping up right now. We still have 15 minutes left. So if you do have questions, feel free to keep typing them. But I do want to put a cap on our training here today, just so if people need to go, they can go, okay? So that concludes our session. I include everyone to visit directionstraining.com and check out our different classes that we have corresponding to today's webinar. We've got all sorts of different Microsoft classes, guys, anywhere from how to use Outlook or Windows to Microsoft Azure and things like that. So we appreciate you joining today, and we hope to see you again soon in class or perhaps in our next webinar session. If anybody has additional questions, the mic should be open, or you can type in the chat box in the last few minutes. Thanks again, everybody. If you don't have any additional questions, you're free to go. Enjoy the rest of your day.